97.9 FM, 98online.com. Kirk, Mark, and Lopez. All morning. Pure rock. All day. The Rock Station. 98 Rock.
From London, England, the SFX Radio Network welcomes you to Iron Maiden's Brave New World. I'm Eddie Trunk of WNEW-FM in New York City.
And I'm Stash from 98 Rock in Baltimore. Out in stores now, Brave New World is Iron Maiden's 12th studio album, and it also marks the return of vocalist Bruce Dickinson and guitarist Adrian Smith.
Now, over the next hour or so, we'll talk with Bruce Dickinson and founding member Steve Harris, give you a sample of the new album, Brave New World, and also hear a couple of live performances as the band wraps up rehearsals for their forthcoming world tour.
It's a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so let's get started right after this on the SFX Radio Network.
The Rock Station. This is 98 Rock.
Welcome back. We are in London for Iron Maiden's Brave New World. And with us right now is returning Maiden vocalist Bruce Dickinson. How are you, Bruce?
I'm very well.
Bruce, this is a return for you to the band. Mm-hmm. And why now? Why did it seem right for you to do this now?
Planets line up and bands line up and things come in. Some people said this was a reunion. I like to think of it more as a kind of a conjunction, like Neptune and Uranus.
So was this really just a case of the timing being right for you to do Maiden again and put the whole thing? Were there things you felt that still could be accomplished, obviously, with this band?
I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think that there was a lot that could be accomplished, because I'm pretty much done with any concept of this thing as being a nostalgia trip. It's not. I'm not interested in nostalgia trips. We did a very brief tour last summer, the Ed Hunter tour, which was to, I suppose, just demonstrate to people the power of the band and what the band was capable of live, just in case they'd forgotten. And that worked. That was very effective. We got a lot of great results off that. And in particular, we got such a great vibe out of it ourselves. We transferred it directly into the new record, which was recorded live. So that was a great precursor, almost like going into training. The tour was almost training for, going in and transferring all that vibe into the studio. But I'm done with playing loads and loads of olds of Iron Maiden's greatest hits. We already know what the band did in the past. This is not about what certain other bands do and come back and this is definitely our last tour, except for the last tour that we're going to do next week. Nah, this is about now. It's about new stuff, and that's why I believe this is the best Maiden album that there has ever been. And thank God, all the the media and the press seem to agree with me. So I can't be have my tongue too far up some part of my anatomy.
Your voice is so strong on this. Do you feel like this is one of your best vocal performances?
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's actually because it was live, and also because the conditions in terms of the singing were just really, really good. I wasn't worked to death, for years and years before doing this album. So my voice is like really. It's just like an athlete, I mean, if you have to play, 7 football matches a week, if your body's going to start falling apart. The same thing with a singer. But if you only play 2 or 3, you can keep that peak form the whole time. And I approached this album like that. That like, okay, I got to hit peak form for that 10-day period when we're actually going to record it live. And I guess I was lucky, it worked out. And I got to say, big hats off to Kevin Shirley, the producer, because without him, there's no way that I could have sung as good as I did. He has a unique way of making you feel comfortable in the studio. I walked up to the vocal mic and it was just perfect. I was like, this is exactly what I want to hear when I sing. This is great. Wow. And half the battle in singing is relaxation and confidence. And I felt relaxed and confident whenever I was in a studio with Kevin.
Dying swans, twisted wings, beauty not needed here. Lost my love, lost my life in this garden of fear. I have seen many things in a lifetime alone. Mother love is no more.
Brave New World from Iron Maiden. We're here in London with the band. Bruce, did the momentum coming off the short tour that you did get you fired up to go in and record this album? Did that get the band smoking together?
Yes, and also we were aware that, you know, what we were letting ourselves in for right from when we got back together, because we started writing the album back in March of last year, and we had all the songs together, and we'd gone through them a few times, but not enough to be confident, certainly not enough to sort of go out and play them live, but enough to have a version committed onto just a little cassette recorder or something from the rehearsal rooms. And we left it like that, and we didn't touch those songs until after the tour. We went and we played the old stuff, and we got under the skin of how to play, you know, the Maiden stuff. And I think we played some of the best Maiden concerts, if not the best Maiden concerts ever. And it got to the end of the tour. Normally at the end of a tour, or certainly in the 80s, I was always like, oh, wow, I need some time off, you know, I'm tired. I mean, at the end of the Ed Hunter tour, I was like, wow, I wish this could carry on for another month. I'm really having a blast, you know. And it stopped. And suddenly we were back to rediscovering all these songs. The only reason that we were playing live every day and rehearsing was to do the songs for the album. So we just went in there with the same spirit that we had been on stage, and rehearsed the songs and played them live every single day. We just went through every song every day live like it was a gig. And then we packed up the equipment, and 2 days later we walked in the studio, and the day we started in the studio we put Wicker Man down. Same day. I was actually doing something. I was about 800 miles away, and I called up because they said the drums went in at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then the guitarist was supposed to go in about 5 o'clock, you know, and normally, you know, you spend a couple of days getting a drum sound, and then you fool around with the guitars for a day, and then third or fourth day, you know, something goes down, and well, I call up, say, are the drums in? The guy goes, oh, yeah, the drums sound great. Yeah, they're just fixing the guitars up now, and we'll be ready to go in about 3 hours. I'm like, what? You know, first day, you know. So I got there about 8 o'clock that evening, walked in the studio, and Kevin turns around and goes, hey, they're ready for a take. You want to do it? I was like, yeah, let me go check my vocal mic, you know. Said, you know, 1, 2, 3, hey, it sounds great. Wow, let's go, you know. It was like that.
We're talking about the Ed Hunter tour, and that was significant not only because it was the return of you and Adrian in the band, but it was the first time anybody saw Iron Maiden with 3 guitarists. I'm wondering how that works out live, and also when you recorded the record, divvying up the parts and how they all worked it out.
Divvying up the parts is the easiest thing because we really have nothing to do with it. The guitarists figure it all out amongst themselves. You know, we call them the 3 amigos. And they just go into a little huddle in the corner and figure it all out, you know.
No fisticuffs during that?
Oh, God, no. No. I mean, this is not... honestly, if you were to try and assemble one troublesome ego out of all 3 guitarists, you couldn't do it. They cooperate, you know. It's great.
Well, let's hear all 3 guitarists and the new lineup of Iron Maiden with this live version of Wicker Man recorded earlier at the rehearsal studios here in London.
Points to you. He knocks you to your feet, and so what are you?
A killer live version of Wicker Man recorded in their rehearsal studio earlier. We are with Bruce Dickinson in London. And Bruce, the question is, this Maiden tour coming up, it's the biggest Maiden lineup. Can we expect the biggest Maiden stage show?
Well, absolutely. The prediction was made some time ago that this was going to be a real special Maiden tour. The last tour that we did, which was of anything similar to this, was the Seven Sun tour. And this is going to be a similar size, although, of course, I think that because technology has moved on a little bit as well, we don't necessarily need to carry the same quantity of wood that we did in those days. We had enough wood to build a battleship in those days.
How many of the new songs are you going to play on tour?
Well, this tour is all about the new album and the new songs. So we're going to be playing about 6 songs off the new album. Yeah, that's 5 or 6 songs. Of course, some of the tracks are pretty long, like 9.5 minutes and 7 and 8 minutes and stuff like that. So we'll be doing all those. So probably a half of the set is going to be new stuff, which is actually just as it should be, because I have complete confidence in the new stuff. We may very well just kick off with 3 completely new songs, because that's sheer confidence, because you know that everybody else is going to be out trying to, blow chunks off you, all the other support bands, and people are going to be trying to shoot you down in flames. We've got, Korn and all these guys going out who no doubt are going to be wearing dresses or whatever they're doing, and, whatever is cool and hip and everything. So, we are the target for tonight, and we have the temerity to stand up there and play a 9.5-minute tune. Great.
Here's one you might hear live. Up the Irons, put your helmet on. This is Fallen Angel off of Brave New World. This is Iron Maiden.
Things are looking
Fallen Angel from Iron Maiden. It's Brave New World. The album is in stores now. We'll be back with Bruce Dickinson. And joining us in a few minutes, Steve Harris, founding member and bass player of Iron Maiden. It's Iron Maiden's Brave New World on the SFX Radio Network.
The Rock Station. Sound 98 Rock.
Welcome back to Iron Maiden's Brave New World from London. We are here with Bruce Dickinson. And Bruce, when you guys rehearse, we caught a little bit of it earlier. You obviously want to focus on the new material, but you're going to play the classics as well. How much rehearsal time do you guys still need to get some of those old classics together? Are they like second nature to you at this point?
Well, it's a question of remembering the words sometimes, because you sing a lot of songs. Most of the real classics, it's not a problem. But every now and again, you come up against something that's got hello, it's like 20, 30 lines of lyrics, and you sing 2 or 3 of those back to back, and sometimes if you're not absolutely familiar, you sometimes, hey, you start singing one verse in the wrong song and things like that, So what I like to do is divide it into becoming confident again just with the material. That doesn't take too long because that comes back. And then there's just a question of physical stamina. And that's like training. That's like you go in there and you bash through it and you bash through the set, and you can take it easy for a few days and just let your fingers or whatever it is, or let your throat or your tummy or whatever it is start getting back into shape, and then you push it a little bit harder. Push it a bit harder on the volume, try and hit a few notes that are maybe a little bit higher than 1 or 2 of the ones on the album to give you some over capacity, because one thing is sure, when you hit the stage, however hard you were singing or playing or whatever in rehearsals, you play that plus 50% when you're on stage, and you don't even know you're doing it, and you only know you're doing it the next morning when you wake up and go, everything hurts, and it's just because of the emotion and the adrenaline and everything else. So you really have to try and work it. I mean, I took my rollerblades out, and we have this huge rehearsal place we were working at in Antwerp, and it had a massive concrete floor. So with my radio mic, I was like, well, what do I do for 2 hours? I feel kind of like a prawn, wandering around, like pretending there's an audience there and leaping around. I feel like a jerk doing that, So I strapped the rollerblades on, and I just blade for 2 hours continually to the music while singing. And you adjust a little bit, you're working all the time just to keep breathing. So when you're singing, you're working a bit harder. And it's such gas. It's a gas, whizzing around. You put the flight cases around. I used to do figure of eights around the flight cases and stuff, and, and whiz around. It's great. You get this whole kind of fluid vibe going. It's great,
Maiden fan would have loved to have seen Bruce Dickinson rollerblading, singing Wrathchild or something like that.
It's on the website.
Really?
Yeah, a couple of guys came down with a little camera and took some pictures and stuff, and there's some website footage and stuff of me whizzing around.
Well, speaking of Wrathchild, it's a song that you re-recorded with the band for the Ed Hunter CD, and we're going to do a live version that we recorded earlier in rehearsal right now. It's Wrathchild, Iron Maiden.
Looking all around for a man
Wrathchild, Iron Maiden, ripping it. And now joining us, founding member and bass player Steve Harris. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good, thanks.
It's great to see you here.
Yeah, and you, mate?
In the 90s, hard rock bands kind of shied away from the metal label, but Iron Maiden's always been proud to be a metal band. And do you feel like you're leading the charge, the new metal charge, right now with this?
I don't know. I mean, some people have actually said that, you know, we're almost responsible for metal, you know, sort of coming back again and all that in some parts of the world. But we don't really feel that responsible, really. I think it's too much of a responsibility for just us. I mean, the thing is, I think in most parts of the world, it's been, you know, metal hasn't been seen to be a dirty word. It's really the US and the UK, you know, and UK's home, so it kind of hurts me to say that, but it's true. But the rest of the world has really been really strong for us, you know, even in the last few years. So it's really the US and the UK that we need to sort of, you know, get on their case again, basically. So that's one of the reasons we're, you know, going to do a long tour and get out there and be in people's faces and, you know, stick it to them basically live, and that's the way we've always done. You know, with touring, you know, we don't get a great deal of help with the radio, but it seems to be with this album that some people seem to be picking up on it. So any help we can get, we'll take, of course.
Yeah,
but we don't expect it.
Well, you certainly have always carried the flag proudly as a metal band. And it's interesting because this next song that we're going to go into is a little bit of a change for Iron Maiden. The song is a song you wrote on the album Blood Brothers. And I was wondering, there's some different influences that we're hearing in this, almost a bit of a prog rock type of vibe as well. I'm wondering, where did the influence for Blood Brothers come from? And did you make a conscious effort to kind of do something different in the record?
Well, not really. We didn't make a conscious effort because it's no hidden fact that we're massive Jethro Tull fans, always have been, you know, so I don't think there's any real shock there. You know, I think to the fans that sort of have known us over the years, you know, I think they sort of almost expect it, really. But I think this particular song just probably sounds a bit more Tull influenced than some of the other things we've done in the past. So it's just the way it worked out, really. It wasn't an intentional thing, really, but I don't mind admitting it. I mean, you know, in fact, I'm proud of it, really, you know. And I think if Ian Anderson hears the song, he likes it, you know. I mean, it wasn't a rip-off by any means, but it's certainly you know, definitely an influence. So, it's, you know, you can always say it's sort of pay homage to his music, really, which, you know, I mean, I think the man's a genius, you know, so there's a writer and everything, so, you know, proud of it.
Like a mirror reflecting the moves of your life, and in the river reflections of me. Just for a second, a glimpse of my father I see, and in a move when he beckons to me, and in a moment the memories are all that remain, and all the wounds are reopened again. We're blood brothers. We're blood brothers. We're blood brothers.
There's going to be lots of love for that. It's Blood Brothers from Iron Maiden. And Steve, you guys did a cover of Cross-Eyed Mary. Do you ever whip that out live?
No, we never played it live. I mean, when we do B-sides and stuff like that, we just do them for fun, and we very rarely play them live. It's usually just because we didn't feel, in the days of vinyl and stuff, we felt that we didn't really want to sit down and write B-sides, because effectively you're saying it's like a second-rate song that doesn't deserve to be on the album. So we thought all the way around that is just to have fun and do some covers, and then we ain't got to worry about writing them. So that's sort of where it originated. And Cross-Eyed Mary, is a really good song. I think we did a decent version of it. I think it sounds all right.
It's very nice.
And, there's been quite a few versions of different songs we've done over the years that have been really a lot of fun. And maybe one day we'll do some of them in the set, or do a whole set of them. That would be fun.
We're with Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Iron Maiden's going to play live for us again. This is Iron Maiden's Brave New World on the SFX Radio Network.
The Rock Station. 98 Rock.
Welcome back. It's Iron Maiden's Brave New World. And we've got time for another live song from Iron Maiden as they get set to head out on tour. I tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. The Trooper. This is Iron Maiden.
There's a Maiden classic, The Trooper, and we are with Steve Harris at the band's London rehearsal studio here. And Steve, you know, listening to that tune and thinking of all the great classic Maiden moments, you go back and you think about it. Obviously, you're the founding member of the band. You've recorded now in America for about 4 different labels. You've had 3 different lead singers, so many different versions of Iron Maiden. But the one thing that's been true throughout the whole thing is that you've always kind of kept the integrity of the band and kept it a metal band. And has there ever been any influence from the outside, people that try to inflict things and want to change what Iron Maiden was all about?
Not really, because I think they know what the answer would be, so they don't really try. We've been very stubborn right from the early years. I mean, people would think now that we're in a position to establish position to be able to tell people where to go or what to do or whatever, but we've always done what we wanted to do. And I think that's always been a strength of the band, definitely. And I think, you know, the fans respect that, and they know that we're, you know, honest about what we do, and, you know, we don't sort of go on any paths where we don't want to go, basically.
I think it's great that you came back with this album and didn't try to be too modern or hip or change something up, but it's almost like a fresh, classic Maiden record.
But that's just it. We didn't try and be anything.
Yeah.
We just try to be ourselves, and that's what we always do, is just... and any album is a statement of where we are at that time. You know, whether it musically or whether it be, you know, mentally or everything really, you know. So, you know, we don't try and be one thing or another. We don't think, oh, we're going to be this or that direction, you know. This album, to me, musically, is just an extension of the last 2 studio albums, really. And the way we've been going, naturally, is just like a, you know, 70s progressive influence, really. And I think... also, Seventh Son was a bit like that as well, but it's just a natural thing, you know. It's just the direction we're going in. Mm-hmm. We didn't feel that we, you know, I think some people might have expected with Bruce and Adrian coming back that we might try and go retro or something, but we haven't tried to be one thing or another, really. This is us now, you know.
Well, that was clearly the first thing that I said when I heard the record is, it sounds like it should. It sounds like Iron Maiden. Thank God.
But, well, yeah, because that's what it is.
Exactly.
So I suppose it would do, really. But, I mean, it's like we always, whenever we go out on a new tour with a new album, we always play a lot of new material. We're never scared to play lots of new material, and we're pretty stubborn about that. Even to the point where in some parts of the world, if people, you know, haven't been buying the album as much as they should do or whatever, we still go out and ram it down their throat and say, you know, if you don't like it, you know, whatever, it's tough. But you know, so that's always our attitude. And but hopefully, you know, people would go, and then if they hear the songs live and they maybe didn't check the album out yet, they'd, you know, then they would buy the album. I mean, that's the way we promote ourselves, is touring. You know, so you know, you got to have conviction with your new material and belief in it. Because, you know, we can't guarantee to get much help anywhere else, you know. We don't expect it, so that's the way we promote ourselves.
Steve Harris, bass player, founding member of Iron Maiden, thanks so much for being so generous with your music and spending some time with us.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'd just like to say thanks to all the fans, really, for supporting us, and, you know, the loyal fans over the years. They know who they are. There'll probably be more people coming to see us on this tour, but the ones on the last 2 or 3 tours, they know who they are as well, and they're the real loyal fans as far as I'm concerned. So that's you know, that's all I want to thank.
And thanks again to Bruce Dickinson, who was on a bit ago. I'm Stash from 98 Rock in Baltimore.
I'm Eddie Trunk from WNEW in New York City. This has been Iron Maiden's Brave New World on the SFX Radio Network. Good night. For more information on Iron Maiden, check out the band's official website at ironmaiden.com. Or you can visit the ultimate band list at ubl.com, the #1 source for music information on the internet.
Tonight's show was engineered by Doug Hall, Rich Hinton, and Andy Riley at Noma Studios, with creative production by Steve Nelson. Special thanks to Rod Smallwood, Mercuriadis, Dave Pattenden, Jess Robertson, and Dick Bell of Sanctuary Music Limited.
To Jim Del Balzo, Pam Edwards, and Joe Guzik of Columbia and Portrait Records. And to Neil Bird, Maria Musadif, Jerry McQueen, Jessa Busso, Ted Utz, and Allison Mullen at the SFX Radio Network.
This Iron Maiden special was produced by Mark Felside, associate producer John Valenzuela, broadcast coordinator Mike Davis, and the executive producers are Gary Bird, Steve Smith, and Tommy Nast.
This has been an exclusive presentation of the SFX Radio Network. Copyright 2000, all rights reserved.
Mark, and Lopez. All morning. Pure rock. All day. The Rock Station. 98 Rock.
Sound Bites on 98 Rock.
And the fate is moving and the finger points to you. He knocks you to your feet and so what are you gonna do? Your tongue was frozen, now you've got something to say. The piper at the gates of dawn is calling you his way. You watch the world exploding every single night. Dancing in the sun, the newborn in the light. Say goodbye to gravity and say goodbye to death. Hello to eternity and live for every breath. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come. Everybody wants his money. You ain't gonna give it back. He can push his own boat as you set off the track. Nothing you can contemplate will ever be the same. Every second is a new spark, sets the universe aflame. You watch the world exploding every single night. Dancing in the sun, a newborn in the light. Brothers and fathers joining hands and make a chain. The shadow of a wicked man is rising up again. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will
Wicker Man from Iron Maiden's Brave New World on Soundbite. The band is on tour in Europe right now, and they play some really neat places when they go over there. They do Poland and the Czech Republic and Hungary and Romania and all over the Eastern European countries. So, Steve Harris, I saw him in London. The band is really excited about some of the singles they make. They did a cover of Jethro Tull's Cross-Eyed Mary. Steve Harris sitting next to me. You guys did a cover of Cross-Eyed Mary. Do you ever whip that out live?
No, we never played it live. I mean, when we do B-sides and stuff like that, we just do them for fun, and we very rarely play them live. It's usually just because we didn't feel, in the days of vinyl and stuff, we felt that we didn't really want to sit down and write B-sides, because effectively you're saying it's like a second-rate song, doesn't deserve to be on the album. So we thought all the way around that is just to have fun and do some covers, and then we ain't got to worry about writing them. So that's sort of where it originated. And Cross-Eyed Mary, is a really good song. I think we did a decent version of it. I think it sounds all right.
It's very nice.
And, there's been quite a few versions of different songs we've done over the years that have been really a lot of fun. And maybe one day we'll do some of them in the set, or do a whole set of them. That would be fun.
Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. Look for the band in the States in August with Queensryche as the opening act. We're going to come back in a minute and hear from the mind of Maynard.